We switch pod.
Yes,
The boys are
sir.
back.
Yes,
The boys are back.
sir.
How are you,
Yes,
Chris?
sir. Quarters, clean up, get the brooms out.
I was
Feeling
about to
good.
ask you if you have a broom because it's a clean sweep.
Yeah. Hey, man. Hey, man. Yeah, get the brooms out, So, yeah, I'm good. Good weekend of rugby this past
Yeah.
weekend and a better one coming up. I think even a testing one, because now you got to
Yeah.
back it up. The guys got to back it up.
I don't think that testing. I don't think that test. I think.
No, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah. I
I
think.
think
I
the
think we need
scoreless
two.
game.
We might need two brooms. We might need two brooms. That's. I think that's all I'll say.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
otherwise, how you, bro?
Good myself. Good myself. The Dan Carters of
Uh,
podcasting here to give you our
yes,
opinions, our
yes,
flagrant takes,
yes.
and talk all things SA rugby. Yeah. I don't know. I think news of the week, I think, would probably be Curtly Aronson. Obviously, we know that he's leaving. And then you've got
Yeah,
Takia Abrams, who they said he was in like the pivotal stages of, involvement with the Bulls, and it seems like he's reached an agreement. They've got Dylan
yeah.
Mott in, and then they've got Taki's in now. To lose Aronson, I mean, we saw this weekend how much of a
Yes,
electric
yeah,
player is, a pivotal player he
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
So it's gonna
What
take
a
one or
game.
two players to kind of replace him.
Mm. Yeah, I think for the Bulls, what a loss to be losing such a player. And like you said, this past weekend, I mean, you just saw that
Yeah,
acceleration, into the space, the way he's able to put guys on, to create just out of you take your eyes off him or you give him a little bit of space, hey, it's gonna punish you, and he's
yeah.
he's he's in that zone, and yeah, but also I think decent, good signings, the Bulls covering that, I think Mott he's still got, more to offer. I think,
Definitely,
maybe at
yeah.
the Bulls he'll thrive, usually Bulls they tend to get it right with the wingers, if you think about it.
And it looks like they've moved Moody into that 13 position
13,
permanently.
yeah.
And he's looking freer in that role. And then you've got David Creel, who also looks like
Even
he's
though,
moving
yeah,
towards that.
even though some of his decision making, though, kind of,
But the thing is, I love it though. I love it. And I know
yeah,
there's people
yeah.
that are like harsh on him and stuff, but it's like if I make a break, ne, it's my break to mess up. If it wasn't for me, we wouldn't even have this break in the first place. We'd still be
Yeah,
30, 40
yeah.
meters back.
Uh,
If I mess up the decision
but
making,
quarters.
I still made it.
But some of those ones is like, don't do that. This is like
Yes, yes. Okay,
it's
you're
like
right.
you shouldn't do that. It's like, why don't
Yes,
you bring
you're
me
right.
down? Like,
You're right.
but I
You're right.
understand.
But
The
it's
thing
like
is,
it's like your father. If your father goes and he's naughty and he has a few peers, but he's still providing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Okay,
yes, you
okay,
shouldn't be
I'll give you
doing that,
that.
but at the same time, I'm
But
providing.
no, for sure. But and I think, look, at the end of the day, um, he, he, those are gonna pay off. We may not see it now, but
Yeah,
down the line, because he's still young enough. Two World Cups later, he's gonna be doing that
yeah,
thing, and then it's gonna be like, yes, So, but sometimes, I think also just he will get better in terms of his decision making,
yeah,
Um, and look, he looks good there. It's just those
yeah. He
things we
looks
know that
freer.
yeah, we know that he's free. That's why he's like, yo,
Mm,
all of this for me, So
mm.
yeah, but look, decision making should be better, I believe,
I agree with you, but also, I mean, I guess there's also that thing of being on the wing, being starved for the ball to some
mm,
extent, and then getting your hands on more
yeah, for
possession.
sure,
You're
for
gonna
sure.
be maybe greedy
No,
initially, but
look,
I don't think it's too much to look into.
it didn't really hurt the team
Yeah,
in that respect. But like I say, those at some point will start paying off.
yeah.
Like so let's yeah
Yeah. Then,
yeah.
I mean, again, for them, you've got Cohen Bosch, those things lingering around. There's still that thing of the
Mhm.
fluff that needs to be sorted. Other news, I think what we'll do is we'll have a bit of a preview this week,
Yeah.
and we've got the Sharks versus Cardiff. After
Yeah.
that, we've got the Bulls versus Munster,
Mm.
and then we've got Lions versus Dragons, and we've got Stormers versus Edinburgh. The only team sheets out at the moment, we've got the Sharks team sheet out. Kanyani, what a
Hey,
game that he had
hey.
last week.
Ayadlala ukanya.
They even made
Ayadlala
him.
ukanya.
Yeah, no. Apparently, it's his uncle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ayadlala ukanya.
Yeah. So, and they even made him the picture of the team sheet. That's when you know
Yeah.
that you played
No,
last week.
I know.
And for me, I mean, JP Peterson he's come out in the media and said like the way that he wants to bring in the younger players or even fringe players, but particularly the younger players, is that he wants to put them in high pressure situations and not just
Yeah.
fringe matches where you're sending
Yeah.
a B/C team to France just to go and lose. So he said that he wants to put younger players in meaningful
And the
games, and
cauldron. Yeah.
we've seen how, and I mean, he hasn't had standout performances. Well, at least I don't think so until now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, for sure. Like he's always just
But
been.
that's the point. That's the point, is that you have those performances and then eventually you crack it at this level. And I think we've seen young Gilly as well. Gilomir,
Yeah.
it didn't take him as long
Lemby
as it took
lights.
Ganyani.
Lemby lights. You
Yeah,
know, he
but
reminded
I
me
don't
of a
know. Yeah, I saw the Lambie comparisons. I don't think he's
No, but
like
I'm just saying, like, just the because
yeah,
the stature, the curly hair in that
yeah,
respect.
yeah,
But Lambi will always be Lambi. Let's not
yeah.
get that twisted.
And I think
But I
the
think,
player profile is a bit different there. But anyway,
yeah,
we've got
but I think still a
Ganyani,
good player.
great player. We've got Ganyani, Fairs, Henry Jacobs, who also we have to give credit to him as well. I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of the things were coming from Ganyani's side, but it was also him there. I guess even Fairs, we've got Jenkins, Van Heerden, Pepsi, Vincent Chituka, Nick Hatton, Bradley Davids is there. Jordan Hendricks continues his run at 10. Mapimpi, I think it's 101 games now.
yeah,
Andre Esterhazen, Hooker is there. Penkle and Kilomir gets his second cap. And then on the bench, Edwin Swart, Ox, Koch, Raul, Hannes Portita, and then Ross Brody or Jaden Hendricks,
yeah.
John Smith, and LaRue Milan, who's also
Mm, mm.
he's doing some good work there. And it's kind of like one of those guys where it's like Sharks have been making some questionable signings, especially from abroad, but he seems
Yeah,
to be of that level.
yeah, yeah. Look, I expect the Sharks to. They definitely do want to kick on this weekend and back it up.
Yeah,
I mean, they have to. Cardiff can be a bit tricky, but it will be the Sharks beating
yeah,
themselves if they don't get this result. I think all of those guys, like even Fez, I think he's one of the guys where, for me, I think he's still young enough. I think he's like 26 or so. Where at some point, if he can do some things, do
yeah,
some things and put in some performances and become. I mean, he's been at the Sharks for so long, and he's got to step forward, because you've got Edwin Swart there, and he's also been a good signing. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's you want to see a guy like that, step it up even further, to put his name up front, But yeah, I think more building on what they've done this past weekend. Look, I certainly didn't expect that result, and I think they'll
Yeah.
definitely back it up.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me, like we'll get to that game, but I think the most important thing for me was that the fours came to the party
Mm,
and they arrived in a way which, it inspired, and there was
yeah,
energy and
yes,
I think
ferocity, intensity. They had that. They had that. They were fighting for everything there.
And I mean, it's like we had spoken before about selection, and a lot of Sharks outcomes is due to selection, you
Yeah,
know. And I think they got that mix right. They mixed the Oros right last week, and I think even this week it'll be good. And also
yeah.
Cardiff coming off of that Bulls loss, it can go one of two ways. It's either, they can second week in South Africa, they can rally on
That's why I
tour, they
say
can
it can
do
be tricky.
something, or they're just gonna
But
continue to
even
lose
that,
in the same fashion. So
yeah,
I believe of those two roads, they're just gonna continue to lose in that fashion. And I think that the Sharks are gonna put a comprehensive smackdown on them. I think it's gonna be like,
smacked. Yeah,
yeah, I think it's gonna be around the 30 mark.
yeah, yeah. And look, to be fair, quarters, as much as clean sweep and all of that, right? It's at home. It should be the standard in any case, that
Yeah,
you win all your home games, so
yeah,
also you mustn't get too carried away. Day one, yes, and for me, it's backing it up, all the
yeah.
teams, really.
Yeah, other things that have come out, we're starting to see this under 23 cup and
Mm.
guys that are obviously under 23s and then guys that are kind of like not in the mix. There's a few guys that are over. I don't know how
Yeah,
many they
I saw
permit per
that as
team,
well.
but like the Stormers one came out and you've got Imad Khan who had a great game and
Mm.
then pushed to under 23s. So it's one of those things where this thing, it looks like it's largely a blessing, but it's also a
Yeah,
curse in that you'd like to see some of those players be retained within the main game. And yeah, it's Stormers versus Edinburgh. I think they'll push on. I mean, they're getting gradually better. It's still not where they want it to be,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
think that they'll.
The thing is, and that's why even earlier I was saying quarters, it could be a tricky weekend because eh, the Stormers, they made hard work of this past weekend's game,
Yeah,
and if they continue in that fashion and Edinburgh are feeling it, that they can play that they can play that rugby. They can play
yeah,
that rugby, and if the vibes are good down in the Cape, then they
yeah,
can. You know what I mean? So you'd only hope for the Stormers that indeed they are, righting the ship and at the right time of the season, where they
yeah.
need to peak again, get to that peak again so that they can finish strong. Um, so yeah, that's why I say for me it's a tricky one, tough one to call for me.
Yeah.
But they should just edge it if they can cut out if they can just execute, man.
I think they'll be fine being at home, and also you've got quite a few players coming back like from injury. They've got quite a good pool there of players.
Mm.
But the main factor for me is the fact that they're at home. But I mean, just from what I watched of the game, they really miss Manny Lubbock.
Yeah.
They really miss Manny Lubbock, and it's no
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah,
dig
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sasha. It's no dig on Sasha or whatever, but it's like the machine that was in operation when Lubbock was there.
Mm. It's
It
not the
was
same, man.
it's not the same. From They're
Mm.
getting good results and sharp. They're doing fine, but it's not
Yeah,
the same kind of thing. Because even you had Sasha then playing in the 12 and 15 role, which also added another element.
that threat, that added threat, and I
Yeah,
don't think there's been somebody else that's been able to be that additional ball in hand threat,
yeah.
Uh, I see what you're saying. I see where you're going with this, and I tend to agree. I didn't think of it like that, Codus, but yeah, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, other fixtures. Yeah, we've got Bulls hosting Munster. I think again it can go one of two ways. Your second week in South Africa, they have a few prize. They go on safari. They
Yeah,
galvanize and they fight. But I think Bulls ultimately they're gonna run away with this one. You've got Papier on form. You've got
the
those.
thing is, the Bulls as well. It goes back to the execution. You know, if you look at even their last loss, where a lot of the times there was opportunity for them, but the execution wasn't there. You know,
Yeah.
And this time around, this past weekend, you know, there was execution. They have to build on that, you know, and because they're in the spot that they're in, it's also a bit of a tricky period for them where it, sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get, you know,
Yeah, but
in that
I agree
sense.
with you. I agree with you. But that was against South African opposition. And I feel
Okay.
like sometimes
Okay.
when we
Okay.
fight each other,
Because
it's a different
it's
fight.
yeah. Okay. But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, I
as
agree.
long as they don't fall into that sort of into that sort of zone where, you know, things are not working for them, you know,
Yeah.
they there but they're not able to execute, then they'll keep Munster in the game. But yeah, they should be able to back it up, you know. Loftus, I think it's a 2 o'clock kickoff, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
yeah, you know, Bulls.
Yeah, I have to go Bulls. When you look at it, Munster's kind of like their only strong point against the Sharks was the scrum. And then
Mm.
now you're going to Volko Low and the boys.
Yeah, and
Gerard
the boys
Steenekamp and
there.
the boys there. So,
Mm.
I mean, they'll nullify that. And then you've got the Bulls playing this counter-attacking, kind of
Yeah.
dangerous in loose play, dangerous from kick receipt.
Mm.
So,
Sometimes even the danger to themselves, you know.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
a few intercepts and drop balls goes the other way, which we saw the danger of that.
uh,
But yeah, I think Bulls will get over in there. And then we've got the Lions. Lions at home versus the
hey,
Dragons.
ah,
Uh, yeah, I think it's a clean sweep. I think the Lions will do the job. They rolled on this week, and it's kind of
yeah,
like it was kind of the perfect statement performance if you're that coaching team to say that, yeah, this is what we can do, you know? Given time, given space,
yeah,
given
yeah,
money, this is this is this
yeah,
is this is
yeah.
this is what we can put together. Even we're seeing Klekani and Mahashe, we're even transforming
Mahashi,
the team.
yeah,
We're
it's being
transforming
transformed
we're reaching
from Transvaal
transformation
to
targets
transformed.
even.
Yeah,
Transform
Transvaal
to
to
transformed.
transformed.
But that's kind of like the perfect
Yeah,
thing that they could put out. So I mean, I
yeah,
commend them in that way.
yeah,
And it is a team that once they're at home, once they get rolling, those kinds of things
yeah,
tend to happen. So I think the vibes, like you were talking about the vibes of the Stones, I think the vibes in this one, the vibes are too good. They'll have a good training
yeah,
week. The only
yeah.
unfortunate thing is in Klabakanya's hearing was this week. But I mean we'll hear the outcome. But besides
Yeah.
that, I'm sure those guys are on a high and they'll just want to keep it going.
Yeah, and I think they also must be tired, especially that coaching group of, you know, being at some stages in the comp, being almost there, you know, to finish in the top 8 and to go a bit deeper,
Yeah.
and they don't, you know. So I think there's a different energy, man, about
Yes,
this Lions
there is.
team. To be honest, there is. And for me, yes, you know, the brothers there, Maashe, Shegani, and the Oaks, you know, they
Mm.
there's a good situation forming there, you know what I mean? And it just goes to show, I believe that, you know, a lot of the teams, that's the secret to the success. You know, the more resources you've got, the more transformed, you know, you are. It's a transformed, and it can it can do things, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're seeing that, you know, with the Lions as well. And I'll go back to what I said even last week, I think, where that seeing the under 20 guys coming through, you know, there's an excitement there because
Yeah.
everybody knows what they can do, you know. And I'm sure even the guys that they're playing with, they also have that thing that, yeah, no, we've got some serious talent, you know. They seeing
Yeah.
it live, So yeah, it's an opportunity for the Lions, to get on a certain track.
The only thing I'll say about this is that I believe the player group that they had last year was better.
Mm-hmm.
With Nohamba there, with Maurice Lowe there, they should have made the top eight.
Check
But
Nohamba at
it's
10 in
it's
this team. Imagine.
but
Hmm?
but that goes to what I'm saying is that the problem last year was there was instability because they
Mm,
knew that those two guys were leaving, and then it caused internal problems, and it
mm,
caused selection problems, and it caused. You've got Chris Smith now being the first player to go over what is it, 100 points or whatever in the competition, and
mm.
now Chris Smith is being lauded as transforming. It's because he's a stable player.
Yeah, yeah,
He's a stable player, and
true.
that's what he's given them. And I feel like that's the difference between last year and this year. The player group was better last year. It's just that now they're more stable, and there's no like, because it's also, but again, it's due to the Lions where they like to fight with guys that are on the last year of their contract.
Mm, mm.
So now we no longer have that fight. So now things are
Yeah,
all, now we are a happy
it's
family.
looking good. It's looking good.
So again, that's the thing where I'm like, and Chris Smith for me as a player, stable. I don't in that way. I like him, but in another way, I feel like the Lions. We've always had a tricky 10. We've always had a 10 that provides a bit of spark.
Yeah,
So and there's no one like kind of pushing him at 10. There's no 10 on the bench. The
yeah,
closest we get to it is Bronson Mills, who took over the
yeah,
kicking duty. So those are
yeah.
the things that I just worry about with Chris Smith, where it's like, you know, he's
Mm.
stable, but
Look, maybe
yeah, at times,
maybe he can get you, maybe he can get you you know, into, where you need to be when you're in knockouts.
yeah.
Perhaps. So,
No, but I think we'll make top eight. I think we'll make top
yeah,
eight. I think let's go into this past weekend. What was Bulls versus Cardiff? Papier back. The Bok. The murmurs around him continue with good performances. Um, yeah, the Bulls. I just think forwards working the tempo that
yeah,
that Papier had. You've got
yeah,
Kutsia working. You've got Carr
yeah,
working. You've got Elric Lowe, who's looking like he's back to the
yeah.
level he was before his injury. Pollard, I think, had a really good game. You got Chesil Yosta also coming in. Then, like we spoke about earlier, Arenso, who also any chance he's gonna take it.
I think the difference as well was the intensity and execution.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah. Cardiff couldn't live with him.
they really couldn't, even the physicality, you know, guys were getting handled out there, getting shrugged off. It was like with all due respect, to Cardiff, yeah, fine, high foul, whatever, but it looked like it was a Curry Cup team against a URC
Yeah,
team type of game, but credit to the Bulls, I think they did better, improving from an execution point of view, in
yeah,
taking their chances, and some spectacular chances as well, where it's, through balls are being played, out there, but it's all because it's just forward momentum. That's really,
yeah, yeah,
they just always the carries, even when the guys they put the bench on, it was just a continuation of how they started, So I think they'll be happy about that, and that
yeah.
they're able to sort of string together almost a full, 80, So yeah, again, like I'll go back to what I said as well, is that at home, that's what you expect. You must win all your home
Yeah.
games. So good for them, but they have to
Yeah.
back it up as well.
Yeah. Only things I've got here, Moody, like we said, he was freer, but defensive reads and decision making, those are two
Yeah,
things that'll come into it. Nazam Kar
better.
rolling back
One
the
of his
years.
better games in recent times for the Bulls,
Yeah, that cross kick,
from an
even
attacking point of view as well.
the meters that he made. I'd love to see his stats.
Mm,
Yeah, overall, very, very good game for them, and I expect it just to continue this weekend.
mm.
Uh, let's go Sharks. Kiromir, young Gilly, he gets his
Yeah.
debut. Like I said, JP's mandate for putting the younger players in. An example of that was Yaku Williams. Yaku Williams has been getting more meaningful games
Yes.
more
And it
recently.
showed.
Yeah, and he's repaid it, and I've
Mm,
Ganyani also repaid it in this game. We've got my Pimpy's 100th game, and yeah, I just for me main points. I think Grant Williams sometimes what Grant Williams does for the Box and what Grant Williams does for the Sharks are two different things.
mm.
And I feel like in this game he managed to mesh those two where like his box kicking that we see at Bok level, he's now doing it for the
Yeah.
Sharks and it's coming off. His tempo is always gonna be his tempo and he's always gonna but I felt like that was one of the things.
Yeah.
And for me, the Sharks, the
Drove them
biggest thing
around
for
better.
me was the defense and the territory that they were able to, the defense was smothering, like they were pushing up a lot more, and then the territory coming from the kicking game, which is down from I mean your 9, 10, and 15.
Yeah, look, definitely, the defensive coach must have heard, must have heard, So uh, it's good to see that, that improvement, and it's all about the energy. I think that's for me the main difference. In barring maybe the Stormers game a little bit, but the energy, that's what made the difference. Bulls game, Sharks game, Lions game, and also the physical intensity
Yeah,
and your your top guns, delivering top gun performances, and not necessarily shooting out the lights, but showing playing top gun, to say no, this is why this guy's a Bok because this is what he does,
yeah,
and I think you saw quite a lot of that over the weekend, and especially even in this game, the Sharks game, where Jenkins as well,
yes, yes,
working there, showing that okay, this is why he's been in that mix, where he's come in at Bok level, guys like even Pepsi, where you can see this guy's he's fighting for something,
yeah. I
that's
I I had Jenkins, Fez, and Pepsi
mm,
written down as the guys that are doing exactly what you're saying.
yeah, and that's why like I kind of you know you have to commend that to see that, and it's just a matter of it, or being able to just back it up. That's the thing with the Sharks is there's been that inconsistency. If we're being honest,
Yeah,
but I think this time around, uh, they're learning. They're in a different place. I think they've seen, okay, who's who in the zoo. And
yeah,
it's what we said. To say let them go in. Let them go in. Let the guys play. This is the time now. We called it to say this is the time now. Let them guys play. See who you got, who can hang, who can't, and you know, and there's a possibility that there's a sneak chance you get in to the top eight. If you
yeah.
get the results. So yeah. But overall, good intensity, especially against Munster side. Good work at the breakdown.
Yeah,
That's for me. That's where the difference was as well. Is
yeah,
them
yeah. I
looking
never
after
even
their ball.
realized that. Yeah,
Looking after their ball. So yeah, you can see where they're going, and that's why I say, look, you just let Coach JP do his thing. I don't have too much expectation, but just going along with it. Because
yeah.
you can
JP.
see.
Yeah, this is also. I mean, this. I think this, like the Lions. This is one of the performances where he can say, "Look at what I can do."
Especially against Munster.
Yes, this is what I can do. And even when you look at the players, you look at the guys that were missing. You've got the Elizabeth missing, the Kolisi's
Yeah,
missing, and I'm still able to do these things. I'm still able to bring in youth. So I think it's
mm,
also one for him to put on his CV and say, or show
yeah.
management to say for my performance review.
I'm the guy. I'm still the
Yeah,
guy.
Jacobs, Ganyani, well done. Jordan Hendricks, he's not the product at 10, I don't think. I think they'll continue with him there, but
Yeah,
ultimately, I think JP's kind of like backed him to say this is my 10.
he
But
has his hat
yeah,
on him, I think. So for the rest of this, maybe for the rest of the season, it's given him
yeah,
it's given him to say, okay, full crack. And
yeah.
if it doesn't pan out, there's
I
a
think
young
yeah,
Vusi
yeah,
Moyo should be by then. I think he should be almost ready, to come in and show us what he can do, and maybe he can give a different picture, you know.
yeah. Then you've got young Gilly there. The Lambie comparisons, I don't know. I feel like he's a bit of a different player profile. I say he's I saw him, I think, play 10 a bit in Cravenweek High School,
Yeah,
10, 15. I think he's a bit more trickier. I think Lambie could play
yeah,
12 as well.
he's supercharged, man. He's the young
Yeah.
cousin. He's the young cousin.
Yeah, you wouldn't find Lambie at the Blitz box. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Moving on, Lions here. Fair flight, also an occasion for him. I
yeah,
think it was his
yeah,
100th game.
yeah, 100.
Lions versus Edinburgh. Lions defense also more aggressive, pushing up, and the
Mm,
defensive strategy that completely failed against the Bulls was working this time. I think there's a fine balance between kind of like leaving the breakdown and fanning out versus just being passive in defense.
yeah,
And I think they found that balance in this game. The playing style, the forwards were getting involved, especially with handling,
yeah,
running the ball, even kicking. Mahasha was a big part of that. I think that his link play between backs
yeah,
and forwards and
yeah,
making the right decision and making those passes. I think it's especially for a young guy. And you look at him and he
yeah,
doesn't look very big, but he
yeah.
makes
But
impactful physical
mm,
contributions.
yeah, no, he's right at home. He's
Yeah.
in that's his domain. Like he's comfortable. He looks like he's always been ready. To be
Mm.
there. He looks like he's a smart player. In terms of just you judge it on the decisions.
Yeah.
That a player makes. At the breakdown with ball in hand. And like you say, the impact that he brings. And for me, again, that's what's the difference with the Lions. That's the energy. The energy is
Yeah.
different. And it for me, it started even when Klegani came in,
Yes.
Mahashe came in. You started to see that even when Pete now is becoming more of a fixture. There's
Yeah.
something brewing, But
It's also the balance, especially when you look at that loose forward trio now, where you've got Mahashe, Klekani, and Horn. The
yeah.
balance
And
is
Ron
just
Fenter didn't look bad at 4.
and that's the thing where it was always going to be a thing of okay, because that's the thing about Klekani and Fenter. They can also both of them
Mm,
can play the same position.
yeah.
So that's the thing. Ron
Mm,
Fenter, he spoke about
mm,
coming into this season that he wants the Bok jersey back.
yeah.
We saw that from him. We saw from Landsberg what he can do also.
Yeah.
He's in now the team of the week. Landsberg only played like 45 minutes in the team of the week. It outlines the performances that some of these guys had. When you look at
Yeah.
Fenton's performance, Landsberg's performance, and they weren't even man of the match. It was Van den Berg, but although that's due to fan voting, but so it was a well-rounded performance here.
Yeah, it
I
was.
had previously, if you've watched us before, I'd highlighted a few episodes ago that the Lions need a bit of a freshen up at 6 and 10. We got
Yeah.
that freshen up at 6, and look what it's done. He's jumped
Yeah.
Renzo Duplessis and Jared Kearns, and
Mm,
there's a
big time.
flame now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's brought more. It's brought more. And I mean, as well, the key thing as well, they were able, I think also for the most part, it looked like they were able to keep the ball more
yeah,
than Edinburgh, because at certain stages where Edinburgh did get those opportunities, you saw how they can punish you. But the Lions limited their opportunities, and they made
Yes.
sure, that, playing at home as well, to get the result, and they building their own momentum, and yeah, I mean, even guy Bronson Mills he's starting to become more and more, involved. If I can put it that way, not that like he wasn't before, but
he's cemented now, especially as a partnership
yeah.
with Henko van Wyk, where it was Creel and van Wyk. Now it is Mills and
those two,
van Wyk.
and they're heavy hitters. I won't lie.
In
they're
2 ways.
heavy hitters. Yeah, so you can see that. No, hey, you don't want to be in a dark alley with those two.
Yeah, no, don't touch my salmon. Don't touch my fish. I think just good performance all around.
Yeah.
There's many players we can highlight and say that like this guy had a good game. This guy had a good game. I think Cronier also. I believe in that guy.
Yeah,
I think
you've been, and look, he keeps on, eh? Like, I mean, I think he's been out for a while, but he comes back in. It's business as usual. Mr. Business as usual. That's him, bro.
Yeah, moving on, Stormers. Unfortunately, we don't have time for you this episode. I think we also spoke about them in a bit in the beginning of the episode. I think they'll be able to push on. Sasha just does Sasha things, and like we said, the squad just around those guys, they'll continue. So I don't think there's too much to say about the Stormers. Any closing remarks from you, Chris?
Look, I'm just hoping for another sweep, and we shouldn't expect anything less because you're playing at home, guys.
Yep. Yeah, I think Eben Betsabeth might come out this weekend. Damien.
Oh yeah.
Paymian Willemse, sorry.
Paymian Willemse.
I might have to put four wins again. 4 wins again, and I need to see that accumulate.
Straight wins. Yeah. Straight wins.
WWWW. That's it from us, guys. Thanks for watching.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.